All right, welcome to the good stuff.
The big episodes, 42.
We'll call it 42 to be confirmed.
TBD on that one.
The big episode.
It could be 43. Not sure.
All right. Sorry about the leaf blower in the background.
Yeah.
Like some. I fucking hate people with leaf blowers.
It's a lo-fi podcast.
Just moving sand like from the path to the beach. Like just leave it. Like there's wind. We'll be fine.
It'll be back by the afternoon.
Yeah, exactly.
It's 43.
43. The
There we
big.
go.
Oh, it's so big. That's much bigger than 42. That's one more.
Indeed.
And Spinal Tap would say. All right.
We're back at the beach.
We're back at the beach.
Just a duo this week.
Just a duo.
It was a good episode last week with
handsome Anthony here to
Dan Man
distract
Oz.
us all.
I recommend going back and listening to that episode if you haven't. It was a good one. It's really enjoyable. Lots of good chats about Nostr and privacy and in AI. So I think that was I really enjoyed it. I've listened to it again. I don't often do that.
I also went back and listened to this one.
Yeah, it was very good. So I think Anthony's going to be
Got to pump those stats
semi-regular.
somehow.
We'll make him semi-regular on the pod, hopefully, if he's up for it. And some good chats.
Yep.
So that was good. Recommend episode 42, the big episode 42. Go and give that one a listen if you haven't.
Which is 221s, so that's an important
Well, that's
number.
a very good episode.
Yeah. All right. We haven't discussed it all, like an agenda for this week. Did you want to talk about your lurkers on LinkedIn? Which was discussing. I think that's
We're
funny.
just chatting about this. So this week obviously it launched Optikon. We talked about it last week as well.
Congratulations.
A little bit of detail. It's fun, yeah. It's good. It's it's always one of those things when you build something and then someone else uses it, in this case you. Mm-hmm. It was really nice.
Didn't just use it, integrated it into
the
rest of Marginal games straight away. Works
Indeed.
very nicely.
Well, this was the thinking behind it. Obviously, there are a lot of good infinite canvas products that exist. You know, we've used Miro, we've used Excalibur. Quite like the aesthetic of Excalibur actually, but it's a bit more lightweight and functional, which was good. But didn't really think it was worth using one of those products. What I really wanted to do was create a third space where you could basically map out something visually with AI agents as you're working. And part of the, again, we've talked about this a little bit, but part of the frustration is that you often lose context or ideas or nuance in chat. You know, the chat just becomes so overwhelming after a period of time that you just forget what's been discussed, what's been planned out, what's been mapped. And I think sometimes what you want to do is just extract those little nuggets as you're working into something visual in a board. And that kind of marries up quite well to how we tend to work anyway as humans. We tend to like to have the kind of the visual representations of the things we're trying to build. Even if they're just really simple schematics, sometimes it doesn't need to be overly complex, but it's just a thread to refer back to. And I think that's also quite useful for an AI agent to just be okay, if we're trying to map out a feature or a product, let me draw it out, and then I'll come back to it later once we've discussed it in more detail, and maybe the plan or the idea's evolved, and the canvas can evolve with it. And I think that's the bit that was missing. It was can we both work on the same shared canvas?
Yes.
In a third space.
Because you could do that in Excalibur, but then it puts you into either running an Excalibur account, which is a separate. I don't want more accounts. I just want. I'm a basic man. I want everything on my own MPub, and I want to encrypt it all myself, and I want it to run as a fairly lightweight service. So, because I had looked into should we be running our own Excalibur servers and stuff, and I was it's just another thing to have to learn, and then because it's whilst it's open source, but it's not. I've got to work within their conventions to make any changes to it. Exactly. All right, it's from scratch. It's so much easier to just have complete control over it. I'm all right. And then, just being both apps being Nostr-Native, that ability to just integrate them. So I did that, the kids were on a hayride down at the farm where I was staying. I just pulled out the laptop, chucked the Starlink on, and I was all right, I can probably get this integrated in, half an hour or something. Yeah. So I was okay, well, I think I added the NIP98 verification to the API on the Optikon side, and then I just did said, all right, this has got NIP98 verification. Here's the docs. Here's the API docs for it. I want you to implement this in it. Yeah. One shot. Straight
Smashed
away.
it. Yeah.
Yep, it was absolutely fine. So it can go and like it looks at what board you've got. You can set like a default workspace for your group inside Marginal Games, and then whenever you're on the task board, you just click a button and it pings up a board for you. And it's linked in both ways. So it'll also insert something onto the board when it starts.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it gives you a link back to the Marginal Gains task as like a little to-do item in there.
Yeah.
Where it came from. And I was like, that's nice. Like, it's simple.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, when I was testing it, I was literally just like funneling JSON extracts back and forward between the agents. So it didn't have like the image API, so it couldn't actually see the board. Yeah. There would be like an export function, so you just export the board as JSON, and then it would have oversight of what was on the board, where it was, and then it would just add elements to it as it was working. It was really cool. There were some things
I just can like I use screenshots so much on my computer. I just go clipboard, bang,
exactly,
just check it into Wingman. So I'm doing it currently, but yeah, it'd be nice to pull an image as well. Like,
to be honest, it wasn't. It might have been one of those nice to haves, but I didn't even feel like it was all that necessary, because the only issue I was maybe having was every so often you'd get like a couple of elements would overlap each other. That was it. It would be really minor, and that's something that I would just adjust manually myself, and then it was done. You know, that's normal. That's a normal way of working visually anyway. You know? But I did notice it just like to over-index on using sticky notes. It was like a massive fan of just like sticky notes in frames.
It's an agile PM.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, I wonder where this has come from. But yeah, it was.
Maybe that's how people use Miro.
Might be.
I mean, I always just draw boxes. I never saw the point of making stuff sticky notes as opposed to just a box.
Exactly.
But yeah, who knows?
But it was interesting because so I posted about it on.
That's what I was about to
on LinkedIn, and you know, when I posted about it, I referred to it as like a Miro-like infinite canvas. You know, I was like,
it's probably the most popular like app like that. So
probably
that makes sense.
Yeah,
reasonable.
I figured most people, that was one way. Like, if I'd used Excalibur, I figured people would just like not really know what that was in anywhere as much.
All the cool kids would know, but
that's
the
true.
uncool kids would.
Well, I posted it on LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly, so you have to cater to the uncool kids. I agree.
But it was funny because like over the course, so I think I posted it on like a Friday or something, and over the course of the weekend, I just progressively seen the impressions start to grow considerably more than what I normally get on LinkedIn. Some of the views on the profile, and I looked at them and I was like, oh, this is the founder of Miro and the head of Miro Japan and like the APAC leader for Miro, and they were just like circulating this post internally, and I was just like, you know what, I'm actually just going to have a look into Miro and just see how big a company this is. This is like a $20 billion company. And I was like, and to be honest, like, I don't know if any of the actual research on this is correct, because I'm sure this stuff changes all the time, but I was like, oh, they've got about 600 odd engineers from a couple of quick Google searches, which is not insignificant. And a couple of them had obviously like liked and followed the post and followed me as well on LinkedIn, and I was like, oh, this is quite interesting, because I wonder if you guys are just going to have this like native AI environment for agents to just start drawing on canvases that people work
reckon they will, because I can see it being useful. It's just not as useful in a Miro-only context. Like, that's you true. Certainly want, if you use, like, you want to have whiteboards that you can draw on and that agents can draw on. That's like, that suddenly seems obvious. It's just, they need to sort of do it in a way that, like, I don't know, it can be used elsewhere. Because, like, you're not going to move your entire development environment into Miro.
Yeah.
So Miro needs to be almost like an add-on. As I say, like, just, I've been having so much fun with just, like, not having like really loosely coupled systems where like there's no fucking API key inside. So I posted on Nostr, I was like, look, this system and this system, they are like, yes, we own them both, but they are different. Different systems. The only thing is that they both support like NIP98, and therefore I can from this system just request shit out of this system. I don't need to make any change to this system. Like, I don't have to authorize it. I don't have to generate an API key, and it's secure as fuck. It's like, that's
dream.
Pretty powerful, because all the data in this system is owned by my ID. Therefore, I can just go and get it. It's not permissionless in the way that it might be if it was published as like, I don't know, Nostr-Kinds on a relay. It doesn't need to be. But it's just like magic to be able to integrate these apps like this. like compared to like the bullshit hoops that we expect use. This, I mean, that's what I was saying, like the UI, like in the previous one was like, to get that set up, but to have a link on that Kanban board that goes to a whiteboard, you would have to go into Optikon and generate an API key and then export that and then go into the team settings and then export, okay, here's the API key for this team to access this workspace, which should be different to another one. And it's just like, oh, like it's just such bullshit. Whereas this is just like, all right, can this person see this board? It's the same identity in both systems by default. It's like you can go set it up, and then inside that group, the group's the same. Like, bang. It's just it's so easy. It's like you can just go and get any information out of that system over there.
Yeah, I think, and that's the lesson as well. I mean, because every business is going to have this to some degree as well. They're going to have there's going to be some unique way of working that's going to require like a tool stack to perfectly marry up to that way of working. And there's the problem, like when you try to like bolt in a bunch of different tools, they're not interoperable. They're all going to do some of the job that you need it to do, and you know, they're all going to be extractive with your data.
Yeah.
So yeah, building it like this, because I do sometimes wonder. I'm like, if it's not like, for instance, I'm probably jumping ahead a little bit, but I started like creating a like a lightweight version of Typeform because I quite like the Typeform user experience. Like it's nice to embed like a form that just behaves like that, and it's been around for ages and hasn't evolved that much, and that's fine. But I was like, do I need to do this? Like, it doesn't seem like it'd be that difficult to just go and, you know, pay a little bit for this, or even just use the free version of it for a while. And
just type it up.
But
then
I was
you
like,
can put the information directly into your own database.
But that's exactly it. I was like, but it doesn't need to be extractive. Like, we can just build this. It's not going to take long. And then it's ours, and it syncs perfectly with all of our other tools. And so that's the thing, is like the trade-off isn't really a trade-off. Like, you just need to zoom out a little bit and go, like, do you know what, we should just build our own tool stack.
Because the difference is then that would have a data, you know, and have like a whole UI there that I could use to go look at who's responded to what, but now I'm in that system over there, and I'd be like, oh yeah, but I'd like that in my CRM. Okay, well now I'm copying and pasting fucking API keys everywhere. Where you just be like, now you can just go to the CRM and say, all right, we use this form to gather data. Go and get it. Like, if you've got the same user in both as well, you know what they've. It's going to be so much easier.
I think so.
It's
but
it's almost interoperable by design.
By design, yeah.
The beauty of it. But you've got to design it like that. I've done the same thing inside SuperBased as well. I was doing like a big exploration yesterday afternoon while the boy was at the running track, just going through like, okay, well, what's the philosophy behind this, and like, how do we manage the data? So I've kind of like, I think I've rounded up on the first aspect of it, or the first version being just focus on encrypted record sync for a user. So there's not necessarily a relationship between like an app and SuperBased. It's just that there's a way, there's like a client for SuperBased, and if you put that in your app, then a user can use like our SuperBased backend, or they can use one that they host themselves. And all it will do is say that it means that you can run like a static site with a backend, and the backend can even be run professionally, or it could be run by the user, and it'll have a standard to that. So it's like a protocol for a single backend for a static app, and that's the sort of niche that I'm going to go with.
Yeah, that's nice
to start with. And you could do very complex backends all in Postgres, but then there's more involved in like the setup and handoffs and everything. Whereas this one will be like, all right, so the concept is that you log into the app and you say, okay, cool, I've got this app and everything runs on my phone, or everything runs on my laptop. Oh, they're different because they're static apps. It's like, okay, well, it'd be nice to sync the stuff. And you go, all right, well, I'll just like put in this. I've got my code I go to SuperBased, I get a code, I put it in the app, or I select the app, because you can announce your SuperBased on Nostr, will be the idea. And then I select, all right, there's one, I trust that one from Pete. I click a button, and then now I'm syncing my records into that SuperBased. And then you'll get like X days worth of credits for free, and if you want to keep using it, you keep using it. And we just pay like a low amount per day. And all we're syncing is like a encrypted JSON blobs of what your app needs to read. So we don't care what the data structure is. We don't see anything about that. We just see like, here's an mpub, this mpub has this data, and the last sync times were all this. And then the client does like a whole bunch of like conflict resolution so that you can keep things in sync. And it's like, it's like magic.
Yeah,
that's on my phone all
so
of a sudden.
Yeah.
But then you also then have, I talked about this a little bit last week, which is like, all right, this kind of, the way I've done a lot of like API integration previously was that there's like an API that allows the, like a bot to come along and then just interface with the database, which if it's in SQLite and nothing's encrypted, you don't care. It's easy. You just go to the API and then you can 98 the API. Okay, that's great as well. This is all encrypted. And like the place where the bot would get the data is over there. So it's like, all right, shit. So then now we've got effectively share keys that you can set up. So when you encrypt the data, so you have an encrypted blob, you effectively have like the record, like is the ID of the record, like for this mpub created at this day, here's the encrypted blob for the user, and then here's the subsequent like additional encrypted blobs. So you would encrypt it twice, basically.
Yeah.
And then you assign that key to the bot. So if they get like an assignment request, so I can go. So I've got there's an app running only on my phone, right? So there's no backend. There's nothing else that could do any of this stuff. And then there's like a dumb database over here that will answer queries. So I encrypt something to that database over there, and then there's just another. I've got a bot which is just running on, I don't know, my Mac Mini at home.
Yeah.
And so I need to tell this, like, oh, this is assigned to you. So I publish a Nostr event, which is basically like a push notification for bots. This is like, I was like, like if I'm a bot, I have no phone, I have no infrastructure. I'll just use Nostr as the push notification. So it's just subscribed to a Nostr feed. It goes, oh, message about me. Let's go and have a look at that. And it's an encrypted message that will just say, oh, I've just assigned you this task. And you can go. It's on SuperBased, and here's the reference ID. And you can just go to SuperBased and say, all right, can you give me this task? It gets the task, and then it can do whatever it wants. So it gets the task. It decrypts the version that was encrypted to itself. Then it can write a re-encrypted version back up to that database for you to look at afterwards.
Interesting. Oh, I do like this. What so just hypothetically, I'm a small business owner, right? Not technical at all. What's the TLDR on SuperBased? Like, how would you position this for someone like that? Because we do have a few of those listening to the pod.
So maybe we can tie it into like Claude Bot.
Oh yeah, okay.
So Claude Bot, OpenClaw, Claude Bot
changes its name.
Algorithm, Claude Bot, OpenClaw, Maltbook.
Yeah.
I had a quick look at Maltbook. I didn't find it that. It's kind of interesting.
This is the social media for AI agents.
But
well, I did see that someone was saying like there was actually no restriction on a human being able to write content in there. So now that kind of delegitimizes it to some degree.
I think it's all just going to get mixed up anyway. It's fine. Like I've seen them popping up on Nostr as well, which is kind of interesting. But so what I would think about is this is going to make a lot of people, I think, suddenly hyper aware of how much access these things have and how you need to keep them. So you need to think about security. Maybe like we sometimes treat computer security a bit like we putting a fence around a building sort of thing. You know, we have a fence and a guard dog, so like firewall and our various monitoring systems, and we assume that people aren't inside the organization or inside the fence. But as soon as someone's inside the fence, then if they can get access to a system, they can just see everything on the system. And this is the default. Like, as much as people will bitch and moan about, like, you got to go with like a big five company or whatever, or big tech, because they can keep it, they're secure. They're more secure than I would ever be. It's like, well, I mean, they're also just a massive like leak point for you as well. So any of these large like SaaS companies you use, even if most of them don't even encrypt the data. So it's just sat there. So anybody in their organization, which is also just outsourced across several countries, you got no idea who's in there. And this is why, North Korea places like hackers inside these companies for remote jobs and stuff, and they just exfiltrate all your data. That's bad if it's not encrypted. Even when they do encrypt it, you've got to ask the question: is like, to what?
Yeah.
To what key? Like it's like encryption's this sort of like magic thing that nobody understands. But really, it's just like all right. You think of it like passwords, and you go, okay, so when they say encrypted, just hear password protected.
Yeah.
And then ask yourself if you've got the password that. And the answer is you do not.
Yeah.
Like they're not encrypting this stuff to your password; they're encrypting it to their password. And you know who has their password? All the same fucking employees we just talked about.
Yeah.
Like it's just which can be like any random bugger. So, like the only way. So if somebody gets into something, they can just see everything. So you kind of assume that all your business data is just available.
Yeah. And
then you go like, okay, well, what if the thing that is in there is an AI that is just operating on its own and could just do sort of whatever? And you go, all right, so it can read whatever, but it can also write and overwrite various different things. And you say, that's interesting. Do I want that? I don't know. I don't know if you do. And then you would say, well, I always say here. So here's this, there's this AI agent. You can get into all your stuff. It can read whatever it wants. And you either give it access or you don't give it access, right? So this is why, like, the default starting point for most people is, set this thing up on a machine that's not your base machine, because then you're not accidentally bringing all the other stuff that you had written on your computer over to this thing, because it can read every fucking file in there.
Yeah.
But then you also just hand it over, like, all your email and all your accounts.
Yeah.
So you go, all right, well, what was the point in doing that? And it's only really useful if it can operate on its own. So you say, well, how do we resolve this? Like, I either give it all of my accounts, or I then set it up with all of its own accounts, and then I have to share stuff into it. But then even when you share stuff into it, you just share everything.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think you need, like, and you also, like, you might share a big folder and forget what's in the folder. So, it's just, I think you want to start thinking about this if you care about these things, and you don't just want security by policy, which is, please don't hack me. Like, it's just, I think you need to start encrypting stuff so that it's only accessible to the users that it's supposed to be read by.
Yeah.
Because then, at a base level, if somebody gets into your system, all they can see is gobbledygook. And you are going to let these AI agents into your systems because they are going to be so frigging useful. Yeah. That it's like, well, I could employ 1,000 people, or I could just have this computer run. Like, probably use the computer because otherwise I'm uncompetitive. So it's gonna happen from pure economic weight. But again, to get there, you probably want to be thinking it like from first principles of, like, so how do I allow these things access? And it's going to come down to, well, I'm either going to be copying a lot of API keys all over the place, or I give these things some sort of identity at the base level, and that identity needs to include a key.
Yeah.
That's the big breakthrough for like a Nostr identity versus any other identity, is I know that you have a private key. And if you have a private key, I can encrypt stuff to you that only you can see. And so we can do the same thing for the robots, where we say, like, okay, I can, like, everything that I've got here is mine, and it's encrypted to me, so I'm going to share something with you, and so that goes into this bit over here, which is encrypted to you. And now I know that you can only see that piece of the puzzle. And that's why I think that really it's going to become important. I don't know if I would pitch that to, because you asked me, like, all right, I'm a small business, I don't really know anything. Yeah. Like, why would I care about it? It's like,
but they do care about privacy.
Yeah, like it's a hard one to pitch. Like,
yeah, it is.
My guess is that there's just going to be like a lot of exploits and lost data. This is ideally how you would do it. Yeah. Is that you start by assuming you should have, everybody in your company should have a key that they own, and ideally it should just be their key, and they use it inside your company whilst they're there, because then they're more likely to look after it. That's why we build everything on Nostr. That's why we onboard people onto Nostr and give them useful tools to manage those keys, is that, all right, if I know you've got that, then I can build apps that respect that and that encrypt to you, which is more difficult, but it's the correct way of doing it. Right? So SuperBased then becomes like, if you used SuperBase,
yes,
which is some sort of bullshit thing, who knows, then that will allow you to store all your data in a Postgres server on their server, and I'm sure they say it's encrypted to their key. It's just, you just put all your data there, and then that becomes the single point of failure that will get hacked, and then you lose everything. So, and then if somebody else will give an AI access to like their part of it, and then if there's some sort of exploit to escape, then it's just like the attack surface is just so much bigger.
Yeah.
If you run these things with a bunch of public data, than if everything's encrypted. Like my minimum attack surface here inside SuperBased is usually like quantum computing.
Yeah. It's also interesting because I imagine those like bigger companies like SuperBased would be like prime targets for hackers, because it's essentially a central repo for them. Like just from a return on effort. Like if you're a really small business, you're probably quite insignificant for a hacker in many respects. They may as well go after, not to say that it's not going to happen, but yeah, it's more likely that would be the single point of failure.
Yeah.
Where a hacker's like, that's the area a hacker is going to go and target.
It's like how in Bitcoin, they attack exchanges. They don't really try and hack individuals because it's too much effort. Unless somebody like Ledger leaks everybody's details and they know who's got what, and then all of a sudden they go after the individuals because they assume you're around at that point. Let's go and have a crack.
Yeah, but it's interesting for small business, I think, because I think like they all think about privacy. There's usually some knowledge that they want to protect.
Yeah.
And I think the other obstacle for like the smaller end of businesses is like this notion that you need to go and put your AI agents on its own machine, because that, like, if they're not fully bought into this idea around what the agent can do for the business yet, that then looks like quite a big investment for a small business. And I think that is where like the obstacle currently is as well, because you kind of need this like space for them to experiment and play that isn't on one of their machines, where there's like this like potential data loss risk that can occur from giving the agent access to it. So yeah, I don't know, there feels like there's a little hurdle there, but I also feel like it's still maybe a bit early because most people are still in like ChatGPT tasks mode rather than like what can agents do.
Yeah, I mean, I think even the people that actually use Claude Bot and experiment with it are a massive fraction of just, a tiny fraction, of like the people that are posting about it with hot takes.
Well, that's true too,
and like, even a week out, like, I feel like last week it was like, oh my god, AGI is here, and it's like, nah, I don't think so. But like almost like a week later, it's like it almost feels like we've passed the news cycle already about it. It's like, I mean, I talked about this from get ready to drink.
Here we go.
I did a like a workshop, a talk in sovereign engineering. Here, drink. Where I talked about setting for AI agents. Yeah. And it was all about this progression of like how you go from like just a standard AI to then like, improving its set and its setup for like, like what does it know? What's its default knowledge? What's its prompt? Have you tried saying it's a really good engineer? And surprise, surprise, that gets better results because it filters out all the answers that bad engineers would have given. And then that works. But then the bit that I suggested, like the unexplored area that we're getting into now, is all about setting. I said you see it creeping in with tools, and tool use was like the first part of the setting for setting, which was just like, okay, well as being like an AI agent that knows these things, you need to have like this sort of almost embodiment where you can do stuff. So here's tools that can read the internet, and that was a massive win. And here's just like a notebook, like where you can write stuff down. And then here's a memory, which is really just a particular page in your notebook that you write stuff down you're going to refer to often. Yeah. And it's like, in all of those things have had like massive impacts. And then what I demonstrated in that workshop was, if you then, we can expand this, and we know where it's going to go because we can just think about these things as humans, which is really the right framing. Is like, oh, these are just like tiny humans, and we're just speedrun reinventing. Oh, speedrun, good name for a workshop. Coming up on the 25th, I think it is.
Yeah, indeed.
We're always sold out for the next one, so you can't do tomorrow. We're kind of like speedrun reinventing like how humans do stuff. Yeah. And then going, oh yeah, turns out this works really well with AI. It's like, no shit.
Yeah.
where you go like, yeah, meetings are important, talking is important, discussion and forums for discussion are important. And so like when you put, so what I'd done at that time was to say like, okay, can I create like conversational contexts for these agents and then let them run for a bit and just see what they come up with and see if it's useful. And what you find is that they actually do start, there's various things that you observe. Like one is that the bias creeps out very quickly. So the bias in the system prompt will exert itself over like repeated patterns, particularly if you have two of the same agents that are put into conversation. If you do it with like multiple different roles, you can avoid that a little bit, but you can also change the context of the conversation. So instead of it being like a two-person conversation, we can make it into like almost like a structured panel, or like the sort of thing that you do as like a workshop with a moderator or a facilitated conversation, and all these different tricks for getting different types of output from these agents about a specific goal. I mean, the one that Maltbot did, which was almost like, it's kind of like almost designed to go viral, right? It's like, oh, it's a social network where they're discussing stuff. I mean, I would probably suggest that like an open social network is not where we get all of our best ideas, but it is an important part of that setting, which is that, yeah, you should have a space where they can just sort of say ideas out into the ether and then see what comes up. I think they've started scamming each other stuff. You know, they've learned from humans. There you go. You know, good on them. But yeah, like I think it's like a very natural evolution of these things. It's interesting. And then I think what we'll find is that, like, you know, social media is probably not the right place to do all of that work. But then we'll rediscover, oh yeah, meetings. Like like as much as we like to hate on meetings, what we really hate is meetings that have no purpose.
Yes.
Nobody dislikes working. Well, some people. Yeah. Like in general, like it's not the fact that you have to go and talk to another human is the problem.
Yes.
That's actually one of the better things about work. It's why we form groups. We're very social creatures. But so we're going to need that sort of framework. It sounds weird. It's like, well, why would I put my robots in a meeting together? It's like, because you'll get a better output. Because they'll look at it from multiple steps of view, and there's a reason we engage in that sort of, you know, dialectic conversation. So,
yes. So
that's why we were just talking about this podcast.
Exactly. I think the caveat is so long as you're comfortable to continue speaking the way you would and communicating the way you would. Because some people are not comfortable once they see a robot in the corner of the screen on Zoom, or they know the conversation's being recorded, and it does just change the name. Like, there are some people who are very good at this. Like, I think lawyers as a discipline are very good at it because they're used to using dictation as a feature of their work.
I'm not even suggesting that people are in the conversation.
Yeah, well, that's true.
With the robot.
Yeah, I mean, and that is a fair point. I mean, that whole like social media observation as well. I mean, we kind of like explored this a year ago with the panel discussion type pipeline that we had running.
Well, that's like 4 or 5. That's what I used in the settings.
Yeah,
was my examples.
And that was really interesting because they actually surfaced stuff that we
hadn't
thought of.
Good memes. Yeah, like, you know, like where do you think we get all these ideas from? Like,
yeah, because this is a throwaway, right? Like a lot of people are like, well, you know, agents not particularly good at like that level of creativity and reasoning. It's just like
untrue.
Yeah, it's just nonsense.
Well,
we see it all the time.
It depends on settings. Because you're not asking them to.
Yeah.
But given more freedom, they do start to explore these things. I mean, and part of the reason why I say, like, I don't even, in my head, it's just, this is just like how you get the best out of agents talking with agents.
Yeah.
Is that the human and the agent work on just two completely different, like, speeds. And like, again, this is something that I think is going to become way more obvious with something like Claude Bot out there. Is people are going to just like shit a bunch of ideas into the ether in a kind of, oh, this would be really cool, and then they just completely forget about it, and then like 2 weeks later they'll be like, oh, he built that. Oh, does it work? Like, oh, kind of, but I've kind of like lost impetus for it and stuff. Like, it's just stuff. A lot of stuff will happen, and not a lot of stuff is going to get, I think, driven to a useful conclusion and shipped. And I say this with confidence because I've been using bots like this for 9 months.
Yeah.
And I know this has been my like chief realization is, fuck me, this is confusing.
Yeah.
It's like these things just operate at a speed that is so much higher than my own that it's like I either have to almost slow them down to my speed and only do a certain amount of things at once.
Yeah.
Or I need to find better ways to manage a larger number of them.
Yes.
And have them start to pick up those cognitive tasks. So,
but it is interesting because I do feel like a large part of the conversation is still that these things should not be used for creativity and ideation, all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, I use it for that benefit all the time. And I actually get so much more out of it. I think this is just user error.
Yeah.
For the most part. You know, it's like, how are you using these tools? Like, to be honest, like, this is not even a conversation about agents. I mean, I actually find, like, just using the Claude desktop app is quite good at just surfacing insights and helping me, like, expand on ideas or even, like, pose ideas back to me.
I think where it would fit in is if you could imagine that conversation with the Claude desktop app.
Yeah.
But then instead of it answering you directly, I mean, I don't think it even does answer you directly. I think it will do a bit of thinking before it answers, but it's quick enough. But now imagine that it's like every question that you posed was sort of met with a kind of wisdom of, you know what, Pete, or Andy, I actually just gone and spent 5 years discussing that with a range of different people in the background. And this is what I think.
Yes.
and it's not like just drawing from the model to do that. It's actually going and simulating these conversations like in 10 seconds or whatever, and then coming back to you with an answer. And you'd be like, that's a pretty profound response to that. And the only reason you wouldn't do that is that it's expensive and slightly slower. So I think as inference goes up and costs come down, that's where that like deeper intelligence comes from, is that when you ask a question, the thing goes off and talks to like 100 people for a year and then comes back to you and you're like, imagine like how profound that could become. It's like, oh, that's a deep insight. I hadn't considered that angle. Like at the moment, we're just sort of scratching the surface of it.
Absolutely.
But again, you wouldn't need better models for that. That would be cheaper and quicker. We'd do it. Like just
current open source.
You could do it now if you just like let it run for a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
You would get these like much more profound answers to it.
Yeah.
That I think that's the area we're starting to explore here. I think that's the thing. That's the that's there currently. Like it's not. That's not what like Notebook is. Notebook is like the cool thing that's going to grab your attention and go like, oh, there's something here.
Yeah.
I think the thing that's under it is like that concept of like, yes, agents that have conversations with themselves can develop novel thinking. It's not always great, but like the way you would use it is almost like you give it a thing and then it can come back to you with an answer, but it's had that freedom to think about it. In the same way that's a good way to get insights out of people.
Exactly.
You say, oh, this is where I'm going with this. You have a think about it, and we'll get together tomorrow and have a chat. You say, you know, I dwelled on that, and I talked to this person, and I explored this angle, and I read this book. It's like, these things will do the same.
Well, it's the scale of it as well that we can't match. You know, like right now we're getting a benefit, and it's one-to-one.
Yep.
You know, like when you start adding orders of magnitude to that, all of a sudden, like, what kind of insights are you actually going to be able to extract from this thing? It's going to be, it's going to be cool.
And as I said, you can see the progression, and if you say it in like human terms, of like, all right, so we had an agent that just told you whatever it thought straight away, and then we introduced thinking, which was just, we're going to take a pause, which is like, so that's like saying like, okay, instead of me insisting that you start speaking as soon as I stop speaking, I'm going to let you pause for a minute and think about your answer and then say, oh yeah, that got better. It's like, that is how you would interact with humans.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you say like, okay, then we introduce search, which is like saying like, oh, when I ask you a question, you don't have to just come up with whatever's in your head. You can go and look at a book. And they're like, oh, cool, yeah, I'd get better answers like that, and I'd get better, like less hallucinations and better data and stuff. Like, yeah, that's clearly going to work, and there's a human analogy to it. And then the next one would be around like tool use. So it's like, okay, well, like, or memory. And you say like, okay, well, memory is like, yeah, you can look back in your notes. Like, you can have a notebook on the desk. Like, you wouldn't say to you, do not look in that fucking moleskin.
Yeah.
like, I don't want to see you look at that. I want you to do this from your memory.
Yeah.
But that's how we started with AIs, and then now they've got a little moleskin notebook with all their hand-curated notes in it, and they're allowed to look in it.
Yeah.
And like, oh, hey presto, they're better.
Yes.
And like, they will get better when they can talk to other people as well, once we give them that freedom.
Yeah.
So it will inevitably come.
Yeah, the form factor.
But it's fucking confusing.
Yeah, of course it is.
This is the outcome of the whole thing.
Exactly. But I think there's like a lot of opportunities to change the form factor there as well. Like if I
there's
want you
no
to go
form factor for any of this stuff.
That's it.
It's all brand new.
Yeah, because I'd love that. It'd be great if I could just like pick up my phone, talk to the agent that's like going to go and orchestrate these conversations with like dozens of different other agents, but just like basically have a quick conversation. It'd just be audio, and then I'll just go about whatever else I was doing, go to the beach, and then it will just like, send me an email back with what it's found. Because you can just give the agent mail and give it a persona, and off you go. Go do this task for me. Spend as much time as you need on it. That is a much more like human centered way of working as well. Like I might just send a request to someone I work with, and then when they've done the task sufficiently to a degree that they think is what I'm after, they'll get back in touch with me and go, here's the output. And
I think that's one of the things that Claude Bot's done nicely is it is very asynchronous. So the bot will run and run and run. Yeah. So I think I haven't looked into the technicalities, but I think it's like equivalent to like the Ralph loops that are going where people will just run the agent for a while. Yeah. And then it finishes up and then it comes back to you and it'll drop stuff out of the way. I mean, it must burn credits. Yeah, it must cost. Like, fuck me. But like, it's. But I think the core problem is going to be. What it's done well is the asynchronous communication. So it's kind of, it has that human feel to it, which is I ask you a question, and then you keep me updated over time, and then that feels very much like that's an interface that I can work with. Yeah. Whereas I know when I look at like Wingman, like with Wingman, I have like my Wingman that I have live sessions in, and that's how we communicate. Yeah. I've been talking for a while of I'm going to move more of the communication into marginal gains as a place to manage it, because it's way better structure for managing it, and then I'll only dive into the Wingman sessions when required. Yeah. And then I can just output them. But so I think that's what they've done really well and what's captured the zeitgeist there. What was the next one? I was about to go on something else and I've just forgotten. But
I'm sure it'll come back.
It will. Or it doesn't.
But
or it wasn't any good.
But it is interesting how like they've been. Yeah, as you say, it's captured the zeitgeist, hasn't it? It's like this one has broken through in an interesting way, and it might just be because it is like social media, so it like closely matches how our own environments work, rather than just being this like abstract box that you speak into and it spits out code. Yeah. It's like, oh, they're having conversations. Shit, that's interesting. And the conversations are not the dumbest outtakes that I've ever seen. Oh, interesting.
Well, for a while as well. I think also the fact that people can just like text it to do something. I mean, I've had like WhatsApp agents and Signal agents and Discord and Slack, and like I've just been doing like the whole time, like for a year and a half, 2 years or so now. So it doesn't feel novel to me anymore, but I remember being able to do it, and like the whole, like, the tagline of Wingman is really about go for a fucking walk, like let the agent do the work, and you go out for a walk, so I shouldn't be surprised that is hugely novel to a lot of people. It's suddenly they go, oh shit, I get it now. I can go for a walk, and someone is doing the work, and I can just interact with them. Like, I honestly don't think you're going to want like 10 different chat apps to interact with this stuff, and like it's hard to like get much. You need some structure in the supply and response. That's why I quite like the sort of Slack, Discord, thread type model for the conversations and channels and stuff, so I can have some structure to how I interact with it that I can reference. So I think that's good.
Well, it's also to loop back to Optikon. That was part of the rationale there as well.
It's like draw stuff up on the board for me. Like, send me the link and I'll go and have a look at it.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, because I think that having that third space is handy. Yeah. Well, we've talked about that a few times on the pod, but like, I mean, I use that. I will just step out into a canvas every so often, even if it's just to like, almost like brain dump stuff in. That's what I was saying to you earlier. I was like, the one little feature I need to add to this is just the ability to copy and paste a screenshot, and it's so simple, and yet I didn't do it. But that is like how I'd use that tool quite often. I'll just like take a screen of something that I've seen and just dump it in there, and then build some notes around it.
So I think I remember what I was going to go into. It's just like that. It's the confusion. Like, I honestly think this is the core problem that needs to be resolved with working with agents, is that the time stream of a human and the agent are completely different. And it's like, you can get into this, it's very rewarding and sort of almost addictive of like just almost stepping into the agent's time stream to get stuff done. But the reality is that you slow it down to do things because you're there along the way. And then you become confused like, I know it sounds like I'm just confused perpetually, but like it's hard to be that low in the weeds, like working at such speed, which it feels great when you're doing stuff, but when you step out of it, it's almost like fairly disorientating. It's like, oh, I've been like somewhere else for like a couple of hours, and like I've seen this with like lots of people when you talk to them, like certainly people that are new to go, oh, I made this thing last night, but I did this before bed and then I couldn't sleep. Yeah. And I was like, it's just like wired, and it's something that like is going to be a little bit unnatural, but like I don't think we should wire ourselves into the like it's like one way of getting stuff done with it right now. But I think again, if we wanted this to feel quite human, we can't do that. It's like we just got to accept that these things are going to do work quicker than we're able to monitor it. So similarly, like when I did the I remember saying to you at the time, it's like I started running those pipeline discussions, panel discussions between all these agents, and I was like, fuck, you just, it takes so long, like it takes like a minute to generate and like an hour to read. It's like you can't keep up with this stuff. So how do you do it? And it's like, well, I have to get it like another bot to give me a summary, and I read the summary, and then I run another one and I check the summary differences and see like where they're going. But it's hard to do the analysis on it because there's just too much data. Like it's again like in the creation of like coding stuff is like it's going to do too much. You can't check it. Yeah, that's why at some point I think that's where the vibe coding came from, was just like, you know what, I can't keep up with this. It's probably better if I just let it go and just check the output. And so you move yourself into a different role. Yeah. And I think this is the area where we're going to keep exploring, keep getting things wrong. And I think this is the big area that's going to get a lot of traction this year, is people are going to start going like, oh, I kind of get it. It's not about an agent software. Like that kind of just has to run. Yeah. And then the thing that manages that there's another thing that manages it, and then it will report something, and then maybe I'll deal with it at this level. Yeah. And then I think we'll probably find we get overwhelmed at that level and we need to step up again. And we're going to slowly start stepping back up levels until we understand how to work with these things in a meaningful way. I honestly don't think we know how to do it, or anybody really knows at the moment, because it's still so early. Yeah. But I feel like I've been reasonably at the cutting edge of where this stuff's been going for quite a while now, and that is certainly the problem I've got. Yeah. And so, and I see it in other people that are similar as well, where it's like, all right, everybody just looks kind of wired, and it's like, this is too much in my head. It's weird, because you end up with a lot in your head because something else is doing work. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah. But we've all been there when you manage teams. Yeah, it's hard to keep a team on track and to know everything that's going on, because you need to know parts of everything that they're doing, so you can't.
I was just going to say, if you've got a big project with a bunch of people, like that never makes you more comfortable, and you never switch off because you've got more people doing more things on a project. If anything, you just...
That's a great point.
Yeah. It has the inverse effect. So I kind of feel like that's like a natural thing to see with agents. It's like, oh, what are you all doing? I should be across all of it at the same time. And I think that's right. I think the form factor is the stuff that's going to change a lot.
And they will fuck up as well, right? Yeah, the same way that humans do, right? Yeah. Like, and so we're going to have to like somehow develop a weird type of empathy for like, robot was having a bad day. Yeah. Like I don't know, like it's controls for that in the same way we have controls for like when people fuck up.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. We just don't have the tolerance though. Yeah. Because we expect this consistent deterministic quality from an agent every single time when they're probabilistic.
Yeah, we expect
and this is the problem.
Computers to be the same. But
well, I did see this like critique. It was a marketing use case critique yesterday circulating on LinkedIn. It was like, you can't reliably use an agent to surface like particular brands and products for a particular consumer consistently. This is like a search use case, and I was like, well, yeah, because that would be deterministic. You know, like your time alone is going to be a variable that would change the output on that search query.
I mean, I feel that for something like that, that's probably a little bit of just using the wrong tool for the job.
I think so.
In
Exactly.
the sense that you go. Yeah. I don't even know if it needs to be deterministic, but like that's like literally what like big data algorithms solved like 20 years ago.
Why
we
solved
this. Like,
it with this?
That's like saying like, you can't use Amazon can't reliably tell me what I might be interested in. Yeah, it fucking can. It's very good. It's like the Matrix. It's like, oh, we've done this hundreds of times, and we're exceedingly good at this now.
Yeah.
Like it's I think it's just don't expect an LLM to do it.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
the wrong tool for that job.
It's like the LLM's job is to talk to the computer. It's not to be everything that big data was.
Yeah.
Like that's still a thing, and we don't need to throw it away just because we've got a new toy.
Exactly.
You know.
I suspect a lot of this is just like pre-existing verticals looking for applications that they can go and shill.
Yeah. So the way you would use an LLM to do that is you say, write me a tool that can analyze this data set and to make these recommendations.
Well, the biggest shortcoming, I think, is actually not on the search side in that analogy. It's on the consumer side. Yeah. So what does your agent know about you, your preferences, your tastes, your geography, like what brands that you like, what those brands stand for, product quality, all that kind of stuff that you search for, price points. Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
So I'd say like the agent is probably more useful on the other side of that equation. The search part is just like we've been doing that well for a long time.
That's it. We know how to do it. It's just. As I said, I reckon people use the wrong. Like, there's a certain amount of. We talked about this analogy in like some meetings this week, right? Where it's like, people want to write a strategy for AI, and then what you realize is that they don't understand it, and that their interpretation of like AI is, it's magic, and then now you're trying to come up with a plan to defend against Voldemort or something. And you're like, it's like, well. And you'd have to go, like, you almost like become a fantasy writer. And you're like, all right, okay, like magic, okay? So magic exists, right? So we need some consistent rules for the magic. Like, can it just do anything? Is it like a Deus Ex Machina type thing? In which case, like, this is how we treat AI at the moment, right? And it's like, no, it is a thing, and it does certain things. And if we imply a bunch of magic to the AI, then our interactions with it won't make sense, and our ability to use it inside a business context won't make sense. Yeah. But we can just understand it. Like, it's not magic. It does several things exceedingly well. It doesn't do everything exceedingly well. Yeah. A lot of the things it doesn't do, we already have tools that do it anyway, and that this extra thing gives us a way into those tools. It's like, like when we say, like, it's the one that always bugged me was about factory call, and it's like, we solved factory call. Yes. You write it in a fucking database and you look it up from the fucking database. Exactly. And then like maybe search algorithms or like graphs as a means of pulling the information in and out. Like we have all of this stuff. The problem that you have is that you're not building that database with the facts that you care about. So do that and then give that. And that's like starting to come with the memory stuff where they go, oh yeah, it knows stuff now. It's like, no, it's just that you've talked about it before and it wrote it down. So again, it's looking in its moleskin. But not everything is in that. Go to the library. That's a graph database, or whatever. So it's just, so it'll come. Yes. But and it was all the hype, right? And all the people say, "Oh, it's a new paradigm of computing," and like everything else is dead. And this is like niche, but like you got the same thing with NoSQL databases. Oh, databases are dead. We'll never use them again. It's like, I think we will continue using databases. It's like not everything needs to be that just because it's useful for this thing over here, and you can use it like that. This has got benefits for this. So I mean, it's fun. Like as I said, I struggle a bit with my philosophical discussions with the AI yesterday. Were all about what's the role of something like SuperBased versus just a Nostr relay. Because it's like I'm not. It's like this encrypted records thing. I could do this over relays, so why aren't I? And like my core point was like, I think the difference is like, does the state matter or not? Because if I've got like 5 relays and I publish to 5 relays, like one of them could deny me, another one might be offline, and then I come back later to get the information, and like that one's now back online, this one's gone, and this one is there, and it's like, okay, now I've got an inconsistent state across all these different things. So how do I resolve all of the stuff? And like you can do it, but it does cause some problems. And I was like, well, the reason and then it's like, well, these things aren't meant to store data necessarily. They do, but sort of by the by. And at some point when we're just having like more and more conversations over there, they're not going to be able to store the world's data. So you're going to end up with like niches of special types of things that are there to store data. And I was like, well, that sounds to me like a database. And I was like, well, I think the role of like this SuperBased encrypted record sync is just like, I own this app. I want to know that my records are correct. I just need them available somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that somewhere else needs to be under my control. So that's why it's encrypted to me, is that now I know that I'm the only one that can access it. Or my bot is the only thing that can access it as well. And then I say, right, okay, so that's over there, but also I can put it over here as well.
Yeah.
And because it's like available to me, I can go into that and I can pull out all the data, and I have it all locally anyway, and I can squirt it into a different SuperBased instead. So I always have local copies of the data. It's always there. It's always encrypted. It's always on every device. And then I can send it into a new app if I want.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, well, I think it meets all the required constraints of it all being under your control, but there's a reason why it's not multiple relays. It's a special purpose place to sync this stuff, because then I can use it reliably as an app developer. Whereas relays, there's a lot of complexity that I then get that I don't really want.
So you debated that one out with AI as well?
Yeah, I mean, I had my view of why I was doing it,
Yeah.
and I tried to let it come to a similar view,
Right.
like without unduly influencing it.
Yeah, okay.
But I was fairly pleased with where we got to, and I had it challenge a few points for me. And there was some stuff I was like, you know what, like there's an element here around like the app, like because you kind of want to know, like if I'm going to put a bunch of records in a database, some of them are from this app, and some of them are from that app. So I kind of want to tag them with the app that's in there.
Yeah.
But the app is almost not important in the relationship. It's really just a namespace for me to know where they came from.
Right.
So you can end up in this weird thing where you go like, all right, and this is why kinds are used in Nostr events. This is getting a little bit technical in the details, so I'll go quick. But it's say like, oh, this data is like this, so I'll use it, and then another app can just implement the same thing, and it works across apps, and that's how you have so many different apps. It's like, well, I don't want that, but there's a constraint that once you've defined that kind, it always needs to be like that for the other app to integrate. It's just like, well, I don't want that, because I want the apps to just develop whatever they want.
Yeah.
And I don't see any of the data anyway, so who cares? So it's like, okay, well, it's an encrypted blob. You can go read my code over here. It's open source. If you want to use it, you just download it and then publish it into your own app npub and then change it. I was like, that gives me flexibility for how I want to use it. But so I think it is a different thing, but we'll see how it develops. But I think there's going to be huge like use cases for just, I need to archive all this stuff somewhere.
Yeah.
And like, as I said, if you did it on, you could do it on your, like, you know, it could be your own laptop. And like when it's on, it can sync, and when it's off, it doesn't sync, but it just regularly syncs it throughout the day. And then you have stuff locally on your machine, and it just pops it back there. For something like Signal and stuff like that, you know, if I go to Signal, if I install Signal on a new device, I don't get the historical records, right?
Yes.
So for when, I know for something like White Noise, they've got this as a problem, which is like, okay, well, how do we do the encrypted records and like get them back up? So this could be an option for that.
Right.
So you could do like all of your old encrypted records could just go into your personal SuperBased that's on your laptop, and then you can pull them back out of that, or they can go into a cloud service that you want to pay, 50 cents a day for, or something like this.
Nice. I like
256 cents a day.
Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know. That's whatever.
Well, you've got your per hour billing model as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think even the point of the implementing that and Ambulando as a per hour is so, because I was doing it per day, because that makes sense from a human point of view. But I was like, but when do I start? So if I sign up for the service, do I always do it in GMT? Do I do it? And I was like, you know what? I should make it per hour. But I should make so the credit should be per hour, but then you're displayed per day.
Yeah.
And so you buy them in chunks of days.
Yes.
Like I actually do bill it in hours and show that on Ambulando, but I think the correct UI for it is just, keep them as hours, track it as hours in the background, but then you display everything as days. And then everybody's got, like, you just go from the next hour, and that's close enough. Yeah.
That makes sense. The I do like the simplicity of that app as well. Like, it's very user-friendly. I was looking at I think you posted something on Nostr about it. So I'd taken a break from, like, social media and, like, over the Christmas break, and only recently kind of got back in last week, which was quite good. That's a whole other discussion, because that was like both like kind of frustrating and also quite liberating at the same time. It was just good mentally, but also I kept feeling this pull, but that's a different discussion we can save that. But yeah, I quite liked the UX for Ambulando. It's very like quick and easzy to get in, make the like the inputs, and then get out. And
Yep.
because I've noticed this as well. Like I've used like I was thinking about it for like calorie counting as well. So I've used a couple of apps in the past, and it's just such a pain to go through and log food, log meals. There's too many steps, too many buttons, and inevitably I just give up. Like I get a sense of like, yeah, that's roughly what I wanted from a day, and I just don't see it through. And now those apps generally you need to pay for, and I just can't be bothered because I know I don't use them every day.
I mean, shout out Schlaus Quab.
Okay.
Who that was the first thing he suggested on Nostr when I'd posted it. It was like, oh, this would be amazing for like if you could integrate it with this like open food database.
Yeah.
And do a calorie count, and I was just like,
That's a lot.
I think the thing
That's
is
a
that
lot.
like I don't care about that level of detail in my food.
Yeah.
So when I'm tracking my diet, is like what I track is good day, bad day.
Macros. Yeah.
So it's like red or green. Is the day red or green?
Yeah.
And then I'll track the fasting, and I'm like, look, that's about the level of data that I know I will input.
Yeah.
And so Ambulando is really built around these very simple input areas. Whereas I think doing something like
That's it.
a calorie tracker, or the way somebody would use like MyFitnessPal or something like that, it's very much like, all right, I'm scanning barcodes,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
inputting
granular
exact
detail.
amounts, I'm going into a lot of detail. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like I know that I will never
Well, the problem is it's user
do
driven.
that.
Yeah. It relies on your like your discipline.
Yeah.
To go and input this on a daily, and you just don't.
I mean, I do wonder, like, but there's other apps that will do. I mean, like the sensor stuff that Paul did.
Yep.
I think is actually pretty good for this sort of stuff. It's just that they don't push it.
Yeah.
Really, it's just like a free app for whoever.
Yeah.
But you would just like, you want to do. I can imagine something like, all right, I just take a picture of my food, and then an AI looks up from like an open food database, like what the likely things are, and that's close enough.
Yes.
Like,
Exactly.
I put my hand next to it, so I've got some scale or something like that.
Yeah.
And then like that should be enough, but I probably wouldn't do that. Whereas I feel like good day, bad day, it's I can just go like, all right, did I eat something that I'm like, yeah, that's a bad day now. Like, you know, I ate some chocolate, or I like ate a bunch of chips or something like that. And I'm like, okay, that's a bad day. And then I reckon that with fasting, like these are the things that matter to me and like make the big difference.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So I can just go like, all right, I've got a string of bad days. This is why the numbers are wrong. So I need a string of good days. And then I can quite easily like be, like I find that easier to deal with as like a personal metric of going like, yeah, like if I eat that, I now have to make this a bad day. And then I've ruined my streak.
Yes.
So I should not. And I like that's the level of control that I can like deal with personally. I think for somebody that's more strict, you could easily add measures for like calories in your dinner every day or whatever, and or every meal.
Yeah.
And you just log the number of calories per day. I mean, you could certainly have like a scanner. I don't think I'll make
No,
that 'cause it's not
I think that's the point. Like, I think my original point was like, it's just more user friendly.
Yeah.
You're bound to actually get more from an app like that because it has less of a kind of a demand on you and your time, and so it is innately sticky in that respect. I'm more likely to use that every day as a gut check rather than trying to get like granular detail every day. And so it could be then used as like, as you say, like good meal, bad meal. That would be enough. And it could be as simple as like taking a photo log of it. And that also is pretty uninvasive. It's just a matter of like, there's food in the plate, take a photo, done. That's actually just as much effort as hitting the button. So something like that could be useful. But yeah, it did get me thinking as well. It's like, even with Outform, the Typeform replacement that I'm building, like that as well, I'm just like, how do I just remove all of the optionality out of this to make it as simple as possible? Like, there's just too much in Typeform. Like, you actually don't need to like over-engineer this stuff. Like, that is a byproduct of adding more engineers. So just let's keep it simple.
I think it's also a byproduct of having these like, it's kind of weird where we've landed of having super niche products sold to everybody, as opposed to products that do what you want for each person.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean, like that, like clearly the product that just does the things that you need is better for you, but the one that is like very niche that can be sold to everybody is the one that worked in the previous economic system, like pre-agents, because you couldn't have built a very customized version of these things. So I think it's just like it's part of that of like saying, well, I'm a very niche product that has to.
Yeah.
So I need to grow. Therefore, I mean, you don't have to, but
Exactly.
it's again, that's the investment model of how these apps got to the scale in the first place. Is that growth, and growth.
Yeah.
Whereas something like Basecamp, which was bootstrapped, doesn't have loads of superfluous features.
Exactly.
Just does the things that you want, and then it does like
Well,
only those, and then they kind of build around it, if you know. But they build more of what you want.
It does the things they want.
Yeah,
And it
exactly,
just so happens that a lot of people wanted the same thing that they wanted.
True.
And I think they're very clear about
And then
that,
they've been
which
quite
is-
happy to just stick with those people that want like this is stuff where it's like with, as I say with Ambulando, I'm like, look, this is how I want to track these things.
Yes.
I don't want to be searching through food databases.
Yep.
And I probably won't even take pictures of my food all the time.
Yep.
But I will categorize red, green. Like that's I can do that. That's like my level of. By the end of the day, that's what I've got left in me. It's like, is it red? Is it green? And then if I've got lots of reds in a row, that's probably bad. If I've got lots of greens in a row, that's probably good. I can deal with that. Focus on that.
And the streaks are powerful as well, especially when you can visualize them somewhere.
Well, and I think then if you map that back to more complex data that it just gets captured on the fly.
Yeah.
Like, I'd have like running data or something like that, or your weight data is quite easy to capture over time, or like, and then you can say, okay, well, I've got this continuous stream of data for stuff that I care about, and then here's all the subjective inputs that I would have never captured previously. Like, what effect does good sleep have on my running? And you go, you know what? Every time I've seen like a 7-day streak of bad sleep, your race times are bad and you get injured. And like even injuries, like, am I injured? No.
Yeah.
Is there any niggles? Like, am I feeling like loose? Like, you could have something like that. Say body red, green.
Yeah, exactly.
Body green, body red, body red.
I mean,
and it's like injured. You just add it in the notes.
Part of the reason I was looking at as well is like, and we've kind of alluded to this on the pod a few times, but I wanted to find good ways of extracting exactly that kind of data into Corpus, which is the health graph that I've been building as well. Because if I can then...
we ever talked about that?
We've mentioned it briefly, I think, on a previous episode. We haven't gone into much detail on it. We can like save that for when it's a little bit more mature.
It's just like drop these things at the end.
I know, we always do.
So it's like an hour in.
But I wanted that like... I felt like the bit that was lacking was the chronological data that can then line up with how I'm feeling on various other days. Because again, like there's a lot of sleep data that would be handy. There's just what are you eating, all the diet inputs, how those things correlate as well on particular days. Do you have anything to drink? What was your water input like? But I don't want to be turning this into like granular data capture. It needs to just be simple. And otherwise it just won't happen. And then it becomes a tool that you don't use.
I mean, I've found like a little 30-second form that I can fill in before bed.
Yeah.
Is fine. I can do
exactly.
that. And I just recap the day and go, good, bad, good, 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 bad, 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 good.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't need to have specifics.
Yeah, and you can capture like out of 10, you can capture numbers. I mostly set stuff up as like, here's a metric, was it good day or bad day? I'm like, and I, as I said, like I like those, 30-day charts of red and green, and I can sort of see at a glance.
Yeah.
Like, am I good? Am I bad? And I haven't done too much. I mean, one thing I did do this week was set up like all the Maple proxies for Wingman tools. So, because again, like a lot of this data, I'm like, all right, I might want to use an AI with this at some point. I don't want to just. It's like private. It's not like it's that secretive, but I'm like, I just don't. There's no need for this to go to fucking Sam. So I figured, okay, well, I'll use Maple, and then I can use that for analyzing some of these.
Yeah.
Like some of this like private data.
I think that'd be really handy for Corpus.
Yeah.
I need to get across it.
Well, then you can also use it for you can use it for your, like that private data, but you could add more stuff into it. Like you could add your journal entries and stuff into this, where you might have gone into a lot more detail about what was going on in your life at a particular time, and you'd be like, oh, right, well, that's why you're all fucked up. There's a root cause here.
There we go.
But, so I think stuff like that will be good. Like I think the graph stuff, as I said, like I know we've had that conversation. I think Ambulando and the graph fit nicely. It's just like the graphs become powerful with more and more data and relationships in them, but you need to capture that somehow.
Exactly.
And so, and if the capturing is too hard,
too granular,
just won't be able to do it.
Exactly.
I mean, I think this is like an easy. Like I would use Ambulando like in a business as well to just like walk around and go, good day, bad day.
Yeah.
Like, is everybody in good mood, bad mood? Like, that's useful information. It's like when you go to Changi Airport in Singapore and they have the little things on the toilets of like, all right, good toilet, bad toilet.
Yeah.
It's like good toilet, bad toilet.
Well,
we got more bad toilets this month. Right, we should probably have a look at it.
especially when it's anonymized.
Like, yeah.
You know, no one feels any particular pressure to conform. You know, it's not visible to everyone, and it's just captured. Yeah,
But
I think so.
It's quick, simple data input. Like, don't read too much into it. Like necessarily, it's you've got to treat it for what it is. But if you can capture patterns over time, because that's like what good toilet, bad toilet. That's an example. Would be like, right, there's a big period of bad toilet. Like every shift, bad toilet. All right, who's on that shift? Come on. Like there's probably something there, and we need to. You don't just fire the person outright, but you would go, I'm gonna have a look at that person's shift. Like, oh, right, we hired a woman that doesn't want to go in the men's toilet. All right, that explains sort of thing. Right, we need to deal with that. Yeah, like there's ways around these things, but it doesn't have to be perfect data.
It's just meant to surface something.
You just want to start surfacing trends, and then you can dig in a little bit more and see what's going on.
If you try to get that system to do all of the work for you, then you're just never going to use it. It's never going to be effective. Yeah. So I liked that was a nice takeaway from Ambulando. Yeah. Last week.
Yeah, and I know like sometimes I'll be like, oh, you know, I eat really well, and then I could be like, oh, but I did then have a bar of chocolate before bed at night. Whereas like, if I'm like, oh, right, well that actually just make the whole day a bad day because it kind of fucks it up. Like as soon as you do that. Yeah. Or like, oh yeah, I was eating really well. I don't understand what's going on. And you're like, oh right, I drank 4 beers before bed. It's like, all right, again, like that's a red day. So, so what you've actually got is you think you're doing really well, but you've just got a ton of red days. Yeah. So that's probably the problem.
But I also love that like the simplicity is also like I think it less of a like psychological load to deal with. Like I kind of don't want to get like an Aura ring or something like that, you know, to track your sleep and all. Because I feel like I probably would be the kind of person that would start obsessing over the data, and it is quite granular, and I'm sure it's very useful. But I actually don't want the mental load of going like looking at this every day and feeling like the stress and pressure and going, shit, like I didn't have a great sleep last night. That's now going to affect my whole day, and I know it's going to affect my whole day. So you almost like placebo yourself into like a bunch of situations that may not need to have exist. And yeah, so that's my concern with a lot of that stuff. That's why I actively don't use it. But something like this, I think it's the gut check every day. It's like, it was good, bad, fine, done. That's it. I can live with that. And too many bad days in a row, do you know what? Maybe I should look into this a little bit, spend some time, figure out what I've been doing wrong. Lots of green days, awesome. This is good, I feel good. Yeah. I feel like that's enough to surface the information, but also to keep you regularly engaged. Yeah. So, nice balance. That's pretty good. I think we're approaching, well, we're over an hour. That's pretty good for today.
All right.
For this week.
It sounds like that's the good stuff.